Hello guys, how are you guys today on YouTube? Well, I am now back again with another piece of old vintage technology we no longer use. By the way, this is a A-B switch for a telephone system, but a very old one. By the way, I'm also going to take it apart because I'm just curious as what's on the inside of it. I don't think it's really that much on it itself, but hey, it's just a very vintage technology we just no longer use. By the way, it's here's your little switch here. That's all this is, your little dial knob here, your little switch here to switch from A to B types of phones. And it's really not much to it. On your back, here's your main line goes here, and here's your A and B telephones where the actual can go on the unit itself. It's very very lightweight. It's not a whole lot on there, but it's pretty cool. I'm very interested in what the inside of this little unit looks like. Very vintage technology. And you can see here is a couple of informations about it. It's just a A-B switch. And the cuddle is a black box, because that's all this is. And it's pretty cool. I really do like it. But I'm just not going to be able to use it for anything because it's very vintage technology. By the way, this is not really worth for me to be able to sell it because it's just not worth the effort or anything like that. There's not much to really salvage out of this. I can salvage the switch or salvage the phone jacks, but it's not much to salvage at all here, guys, because it's a pretty old little gear, old guy here. But there you go. You guys can take a look at that little big giant aluminum knob, though. It's pretty basic, but it's very awesome. I very like it. Your main line goes here, and your two phones, your A or your B switch. But I'm thinking maybe I can use this for useful project box or something like that. That's to kind of like switch it from A to B type of things like that. But I just don't know. Like I said, it's just not a whole lot into this. And by the way, we do have a warranty kind of sticker here, but it's out of warranty anyways. I'm not worried about taking it apart. And we just got two little Phillips screws. We're just going to go ahead and pull this little label back, and it disposes me to the two little screws on the underneath of the unit. And by the way, we're going to need a Phillips screwdriver to be able to take this little guy apart. Now, I'm just curious, is what's really on the inside of this little thing. I don't know if it's any like type of circuit boards or anything like that on the inside of this little switch box. You know, it's pretty vintage and it's pretty old. But you know what? Can I use it for something else? Probably, but probably not. It only depends on how vintage this technology really is. And by the way, it's not worth for me to sell it again because it's not going to be really that important for me to sell this old style box. And it just has two plastic tap screws. And by the way, the casing is made out of plastic, and this is made out of metal, and this back is also made out of metal. And we just have some own information of stuff as well on the top. And let's go ahead and pop it open. And there's the top of the lid. And like I said, I told you it wasn't much in this thing. Just a rotary switch and some very unique wiring. That's about it. That's all that's inside of this thing. But not really much to it, because it's vintage technology. But here we have just a standard rotary switch here for the rotary of the AEB. and also the phone jacks as well. I was very surprised it doesn't have a whole lot of circuit to it. It just has stranded wireless hail. Very unique and stuff as well. But, like I said, it's just not much in this. Like I said, there's not much to salvage out of this old unit to able to resell it or even to try to scrap it for the parts. It's just not worth it because all you have is a steel plate, a non-steel plate, a rotary switch, and a couple pieces of old copper wire here. But that's not much in this little guy. You see, very vintage technology, you see. I was going to be surprised if it had going to be a circuit board in this. And you guys can see, it does have a circuit board mounting place for a circuit board or the bin. But you guys can see, up close, not a whole lot to it. It's just a bunch of little phone wires and phone jacks on the back of the unit. Very awesome and very unique as well. Just a standard old style AB switch. Not much in this old era, but you know what they always say, sometimes curiosity here is to figure out what's on the inside of old vintage technology. Now, is this worth anything in the future? No, not really here, guys. It's not really worth nothing because it's this old and it's outdated. And it's just old vintage stuff. You know, it's just old. And like I said, it's not really worth to save it. But you could probably do some interesting stuff with this. You could probably make this into type of a different style switch for your equipment and stuff like that. And we can see we have like a different adjustments for you can actually scoot the little guy back a little bit for the different places for the plates to go in. But it's not much here. It's not a whole lot. I'm very surprised. I was thinking that it was going to be some type of circuitry on the inside of this thing. If it had some type of circuitry, then you can figure out what you guys can do with this type of case. But I might just make it out of a different style switch. I might just take out this switch, take out this whole tile assembly, and just, you know, take everything out, make a new plate, put a different switch in, and, you know, if I decide to sell it, maybe I can put the original parts back into it. But I'm very intrigued on how little technology was in those olden days. Just a standard Pro AB switch. I'm thinking if I can design the antenna out of this old style box, you know, like different connections on the back of it, that'd be kind of cool. But I'm just going to have to make my own mounting bracket for the antennas. Antenna in and antennas and going out to the radios and stuff like that. I think that would be kind of useful for me to able to use this little style box. But very interesting. It doesn't have that much technology in it. But that's kind of cool to see what's actual originally inside a old style vintage AB switch for telephones. But this is just absolutely no useful for me. But this does all come apart. You guys can see this does all come apart. Nothing to it. You can see there's just the bottom of that plate. And this is just the pieces of metal and wires. This is what makes the heaviness of the project itself. A very, very unique project. Very cool looking project. You can make all sorts of unique things out of this one single box. If you wanted to, you can do that. But, you know what, I'm not too worried about this old vintage box, because it's not going to be really worth a whole lot. But, you know what, who the heck cares, you know, it's like, okay, let's change vintage technology into something we can use. But like I said, it's not much to these boxes at all. But let's go ahead and just put the cover back on. And we will figure out what we can do with this old vintage technology. And let's go ahead and re-screw it down. Alright, let's go and put the screws back in. But it's kind of unique to see vintage technology that we no longer use them. But we can make different things out of different technology and how to make a different type of switch box by using that rotary switch that will work for different antennas. And that's what I'm thinking I could probably make this box out of if I have the skills and the type of technology to do that. But you know what? I don't much mind a old vintage box here, guys. It'd be very interesting to be able to make something out of this old little guy as well. But it's just an old rotary switch for phones, AV switch for phones. That's all she is. Alright guys, here's another old vintage technology we no longer use anymore. But I will find out something what I can do out of this project. Alright guys, if you are brand new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please leave a comment down below. Please like, please share. Peace out. Bye guys. We'll see you in the next vlog. Maybe modding this little guy. Alright.